A Persian prince rides toward the walls of a Roman city, close enough for the defenders to see his face. He is there to accept a surrender. Instead, a single bolt fired from a Roman machine tears through him, and he falls dead in front of his father's army. Somewhere on those same walls, a Roman officer is watching. He has no idea he just witnessed the opening move of a nightmare that will last 73 days. This is not a story about the fall of Rome. Rome does not fall here. This is a story about a single fortress city on the Tigris River, a soldier named Ammianus Marcellinus who happened to be trapped inside it, and 73 days that would become one of the most detailed eyewitness accounts of siege warfare to survive from the ancient world. Everything you are about to hear comes from a man who lived through it and barely lived to tell it. In the spring of 359 AD, the Sasanian king Shapur II launched a major invasion of Roman Mesopotamia. He had spent years securing his eastern borders. Now he turned west, aiming to take back territory Persian kings believed was rightfully theirs. Rome was in no position to stop him. The Emperor Constantius II was tied up dealing with political threats far from the eastern frontier and could not personally lead a defense. The task fell to a Roman general named Ursicinus, a capable commander who arrived at Amida that May with his staff, including a young officer named Ammianus Marcellinus. Here is the problem. Ursicinus did not have enough soldiers. Political rivals back in the Roman court had already stripped away much of his authority and his army. He reinforced Amida's garrison as best he could, but he knew what was coming, and he knew he could not stop it with the forces he had left. By early summer, Shapur's army reached the city. Riding beside him was a king named Grumbates, leader of a warrior people called the Chionites, allied to Persia. Grumbates rode forward to demand Amida's surrender. The Romans answered with a bolt from the wall. It killed his son instantly. Grumbates demanded 7 days of mourning before the assault could begin. Ancient historians tell us Shapur agreed. It was the last quiet moment Amida would ever have. Inside those walls, this was not simply a military garrison. Amida had grown from a small fortified town into a genuine frontier city, and it happened to be hosting its annual trade fair when the Persian army arrived. Merchants, farmers, refugees fleeing the countryside, soldiers, and ordinary residents were all packed inside the same fortifications. Ancient sources describe a Roman garrison in the low thousands, though other accounts suggest the total number of people crowded inside, soldiers and civilians combined, may have climbed into the tens of thousands. The exact figure is still debated by historians today, but the picture is clear either way. A city built for far fewer people suddenly had to survive a siege with everyone it had absorbed still trapped inside. The walls themselves were formidable. Built from dense black basalt, reinforced under Constantius years earlier, they stood roughly 5 kilometers around, thick enough to resist a battering ram, tall enough to give Roman artillery a commanding line of fire. But walls alone do not win a 73-day siege. What happens inside them does. When the mourning period ended, Shapur's army surrounded Amida completely. What followed was one of the most technologically advanced sieges Rome ever faced. The Persians built massive siege towers, tall enough to bring archers level with the defenders on the walls. They dug approach trenches. They brought forward war elephants, animals most Roman soldiers inside that city had likely never seen up close. And they began mining beneath the foundations, trying to collapse sections of the wall from underground. The Romans fought back with everything they had. Ballistae and heavy bolt throwers, the same kind of weapon that had killed Grumbate's son, tore into the attackers. Roman engineers dug countermines to intercept the Persian tunnels underground, fighting hand-to-hand in total darkness beneath the city they were defending. At one point, a Roman deserter revealed a hidden underground passage connected to the river. A small unit of elite Persian archers used it to slip into a tower inside the city. The defenders discovered them and wiped them out before they could open a gate from within. Then came the boldest Roman move of the siege. A unit of Gallic soldiers launched a night raid directly into the Persian camp, killing a significant number of the enemy in the chaos of darkness. But the retreat back to the walls was costly. Roman accounts describe roughly 400 soldiers lost in that single raid. And this was still not even halfway through the siege. The worst was still ahead, and it would not come from outside the walls. Sieges are rarely won or lost by weapons alone. Inside Amida, something quieter was doing just as much damage as the Persian army outside. With thousands of people crowded into a fortified space never designed to hold them, disease spread through the city. Ammianus himself describes an epidemic taking hold, one that appears to have eased only after several days of heavy rain. Food and water grew scarce. The pressure on the defenders was not only military, it was physical, day after day, with no clear end in sight. Command problems made everything worse. Arsacinus wanted to strike the Persian camp directly with a decisive night attack. A fellow Roman commander named Sabinianus blocked the plan. Whatever the political reasoning behind that decision, the effect was the same. An opportunity to break the siege from the outside never came. Meanwhile, the Persians kept adapting. When their first attacks failed, they built larger siege towers. When those were destroyed, they raised massive earthen mounds pressed directly against the walls. The Romans tried to counter by building their own earthworks inside the city to match the height of the Persian mounds. It was one of these Roman earthworks that decided the siege. During the fighting, the structure collapsed. The collapse opened a direct passage toward the wall itself, and Persian soldiers found the gap they had been fighting for 70 days to create. Once the Persians broke through, there was no organized defense left to stop them. Ammianus describes what followed in stark terms: soldiers and civilians killed without distinction as the city was overrun. Some accounts describe people throwing themselves from the walls rather than face capture. Whatever the precise details, the ancient record agrees on this much: Amida's fall was violent, chaotic, and total. Ammianus was inside the city when it happened. As the massacre spread through the streets, he made his way to a postern gate, a small side entrance that the attackers had not yet secured, and escaped into the night. Later accounts of the ordeal describe him hiding among the dead outside the walls before finally reaching Roman lines. He survived. Most of the city did not. Ancient sources also claim the Persians paid an enormous price for their victory, with figures as high as 30,000 dead cited in the Roman tradition. That number comes from a single ancient account and cannot be independently verified, but even treated with caution, it tells us this was no easy conquest. Shapur had spent an entire campaigning season capturing one fortress city. So why did a Roman fortress, defended by disciplined soldiers behind some of the strongest walls in the empire, ultimately fall after 73 days? The honest answer is that it was not one single failure. It was overcrowding, disease, a command structure that could not agree on when to strike, and a Persian army that simply refused to stop adapting until it found a way in. Amida's fall did not destroy Rome. The empire endured for centuries after this. But for 73 days, it exposed exactly how much the eastern frontier depended on walls that, in the end, could not hold forever. We only know any of this in this much detail because one soldier survived to write it down. Ammianus Marcellinus climbed through a gate in the dark, hid among the dead, and carried the story of Amida out with him. Without him, this siege would likely be a single forgotten line in a list of ancient battles. If stories like this, ordinary people surviving extraordinary history, are what you come here for, this channel has more of them waiting. Subscribe, and I will see you inside the next siege.